just think it seems to be cyclical. When there's an illness, it'll run its course and it will continue on.
We kind of got used to like such abundance, you know?
Yeah.
And everything is fine, and you know, we live in this extremely privileged reality, but yet we fail to recognize the fact that it's so privileged.
I think we've never seen anything like this before. It's going to be big. I feel like a lot of people are going to be getting sick of this.
As someone who's constantly trying to make sense of life, 2020 was particularly perplexing.
So if you had to describe this past year in one word, what would it be?
Oh, Jesus. That's 2 words.
Death.
COVID-19.
Perspective.
Being grateful.
Depressing.
Difficult. Emotional roller coaster at least for me.
It was a weird, unprecedented year in which reality and make-believe seemed to often coincide. And I just can't help but wonder, what was this all for? What was 2020 about?
I think if you talk to most people, obviously I can't speak to everyone, but I think most people were grateful for the time. Because it's an existential crisis, you know? Like some people didn't get to go and get through it. Some people woke up.
And to me, there's like 2 things that come to mind that are almost like kind of dichotomies of each other. One, in the line of perspective, is like being grateful. With everything that's happened, it just reminds you of all the things that you take for granted in your daily life, like healthcare and being healthy. And then to me, the other thing is frustrating. There's a lot of things that you want to do that you can't, that are frustrating. There's a lot that feels like completely out of reach and like it's never going to be fixed, between racism and public health. And, you know, it feels like you're doing your part, but like how much does your part really even matter?
I know people want to like kind of look at stories of resilience or something and kind of, young people really having a tough time or coming out stronger. And I kind of push that against that a little, especially if your job is affected by this, then it's just like, it's going to be really difficult for people.
It's scary to be alone with your thoughts sometimes. I just started like meditating to take the time for myself. I started eating healthy. Like I feel like this year put me on a journey, and I'm like not done with that. So
It seems to me like it's a little hard to articulate exactly what you're going through, but it feels like there's an element of
spiritualism, like
something like that.
Yeah.
Actualization and all that stuff, but a lot of self-love as well, and awareness and that kind of stuff.
It was a year of introspection and contemplation, a year of suffering and loss, and all the while, it was a year of so much change.
I work specifically in transportation, so we've been working a lot on trying to advocate for transit agencies and getting them emergency and sufficient aid. A lot of cities have really come together, and we're seeing a lot of reform. We're seeing police reform. We're seeing a lot of these issues exposed for the first time. And, you know, the pandemic forced cities to act faster, remove some of the bureaucratic barriers that were there in ways that they haven't done before.
Sounds like the pandemic shook things up a bit.
Well, it did also speed some things up. Like, and I work in healthcare. For the longest time, there's been these like arcs of change in healthcare, like towards telehealth and towards all these different things. But the pandemic hit, and like this huge seismic shift just happened overnight. And I think that's kind of a lesson that like at the top, we can make changes that have huge impact on people.
It was a year of disruption and transformation, not just changing industries and businesses overnight, but changing the way we work and do business. COVID flipped the political landscape in the US, switching presidents and majority rule. It disrupted an already delicate world order, setting the stage for a fundamental shift in international dynamics. And these are just the changes we can see. Who knows what the future holds?
I feel like we're gonna have like a mini renaissance. I don't know, people are comparing this to like the Black Plague, what happened like back in the 1200s, but I feel like there's gonna be like a mini renaissance happening where like people are like excited, like people are like very creative.
I think we might embark in something like that, or it might just be, you know, kind of a continuation of this like existential crisis where I think the values of like our society are grossly disconnected from, I think, the economic realities.
I think that we're going to live in a more unequal society after the pandemic than we did before. You know, it's
Unless
like,
we change it.
despite a lot of these efforts that are going on, it's like the reality is that a lot of people weren't living what we would describe as normal lives before the pandemic. Like they were struggling beforehand, and now they're struggling even more.
So how do we put this all together? Is this pandemic leading us towards a society that is more compassionate and just? Or are we just becoming increasingly more disjointed and unequal? Are the peoples and nations of this world learning to work together? Or are we just entering a period of greater instability and conflict? Will this experience push us to fight climate change, mitigate the next pandemic or natural disaster, and prevent what is sometimes feeling like the end of the world? Or shoot, is Jesus coming back?
So I've been reading this chapter in the Bible that's helped me make some sense of these times. The chapter is called Ecclesiastes, and in it, the author, much like what we're trying to do now, tries to make sense of a seemingly arbitrary life in which things just seem to happen. Some people prosper, some people suffer, where nothing lasts forever and death is the conclusion of all. And the author, upon going through various thought and life experiments, concludes simply that life is meaningless, utterly meaningless. Which is kind of a funny thing to say in something like the Bible, but I don't think he's so much saying that life lacks meaning as much as he's saying that its meaning isn't always clear.
Blink of an eye, like just things could just change, like just like that.
You don't know what's going to happen in the world. You don't always have your life.
It's always changing.
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Or, as the author puts it, that life moves in seasons and there's a time for everything. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to cry and a time to laugh. A time to be apart and a time to come together. That life moves in cycles, and what is happening now has happened before and will happen again in the future. What does it feel like to say that?
That like I don't control my life. Because
Yeah.
I don't. Like, you know, like that was so like diluted to think. Like I control my actions, you know, but I don't control anything outside that.
What's kind of funny is that in Ecclesiastes, even though the author repeatedly says that life is meaningless, he also says that still a person can do nothing better than to eat, drink, and be merry, to work hard and leave a legacy, to build friendships and find love.
One thing a friend said to us that has really sort of stuck with me is like trying to figure out how to thrive in this pandemic. It's so easy to just stay inside and, you know, not even think about other people, but hobbies can only get you so far. Like I've watched an insane amount of Drag Race, which I love. At the end of the day, that can only get me so far too. Most of the joy that I feel like I've derived during the pandemic is from like finding a way to connect with people in one form or the other. Even if people watching, connecting with friends, some form or the other. I just want to do a lot more of that next year and like find ways to do that safely and in a healthy way.
I don't know, I'm imagining like a post-World War II moment where like everyone's just in the streets.
Just making out with some
Ticker
random
tape.
person.
I'm
in the-
gonna kiss
that
every
gonna be you?
single person on the mouth. Every single person. I'm kissing them on the mouth. Like I
We
think
gotta talk about that.
maybe, okay, well, yeah, we'll talk about it.
Guys included, just
Guys,
everybody.
Everybody. I don't care. I mean, I feel like I'm maybe excited for that world where
I guess what I've come to realize in making this video is that life doesn't need for us to make sense of it or know where it's going. Life just needs for us to live. And so I guess my hope for us in 2021 and in the years to come is to learn to do just that, to live our best lives in whatever circumstance we find ourselves in, not letting uncertainty or fear weigh us down, to learn to fully let go of the things we do not control so that we can more fully control the things we do, and to embrace whatever season of life we find ourselves in, both the good and the bad, knowing that a new season is always waiting for us right around the corner.
Hey guys, really quick, just want to take a hot second and thank you for watching my videos. Whether this is your first one or you've been following along, You know, for me, one of the things that came out of 2020 was this YouTube channel. And since then, making these videos have opened me up and given me a lot of joy in life, and also a lot of sleepless nights. But to that end, I'm super grateful. I'm grateful for your support. I'm grateful for the time you take to watch my videos. You know, this channel, Edgy Wholesome, at the end of the day, it's about making content that's entertaining and funny and engaging, but also making content that matters and is meaningful, or at least is meaningful to me. But, you know, thank you for watching. Continue to support. If you gotten this far in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. But yeah, guys, wishing you the best in 2021 and in the years to come. You know, these times are what they are, but I think we can still try to make the best of them. So with that said, see you at the next video. And until then, stay edgy and stay wholesome. Don't worry, I won't wink anymore.